My name is Elena Carter, and on the morning of my wedding, I should have been the happiest woman alive. The dress hung before me like a dream woven in silk and lace ivory fabric that shimmered under the first rays of dawn, delicate beads catching the light like frozen stars. My reflection in the mirror smiled, but my eyes betrayed me. They looked too wide, too hollow, as if I were staring at someone else's future. I had everything a woman was supposed to want: a kind man waiting at the altar, a family proud beyond measure, a room full of guests ready to shower me with blessings. And yet, beneath the weight of the veil, my heart whispered a truth I dared not speak. Something was missing. That morning, I was Elena Carter, soon to be Elena Carter Morgan, wife of Daniel Morgan, a man who had loved me faithfully for 4 years. But by the end of that day, I would be someone else entirely. A woman cursed by the memory of a stranger's eyes. The church was overflowing with faces, friends, relatives, co-workers, neighbors, all gathered like witnesses to a grand performance. I walked down the aisle with my father, his arm steady against mine, my smile plastered in place like porcelain. Every step echoed against the marble floor, and the sound of the organ filled the air like a slow tide rolling toward the shore. I saw him, Daniel, standing at the altar, the man I was supposed to love. His suit was immaculate, his tie straight, his expression nervous but proud. He was everything a husband should be: kind, stable, dependable. He had built me a life where comfort was guaranteed, where promises were kept. But promises are not always love, and love is not always kind. When I reached the altar, I turned to face him. His hands shook as he took mine, his lips trembling as if he had rehearsed 1,000 words but could only whisper my name. The priest began his sermon. The air grew thick, heavy, pressing down on my chest until I thought I might faint. And then I saw him. He was sitting 3 pews from the front, half in shadow, his head slightly tilted as though he had no right to watch so closely. His suit was darker than the rest, simple yet effortlessly elegant. But it wasn't the suit that caught me. It was his eyes. Eyes like storms breaking open the sky, gray, restless, filled with something I had not seen in years. Hunger, fire, danger. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't clapping with the others. He was just watching me. Watching as though he knew me, as though he had already memorized every line of my face. My chest tightened, and suddenly the priest's voice became muffled, like sound underwater. The vows blurred, the crowd faded. All I could see was him. When our eyes met, I felt the world tilt. I should have looked away, but I didn't. By the time we reached the grand hall for the reception, laughter and music filled the air like glitter scattered across marble floors. Glasses clinked, candles flickered, and the scent of roses tangled with perfume. I should have been the happiest bride in the world. Instead, I felt like a stranger inside my own skin. Daniel held my hand as we greeted guests, his smile stretching wider with every congratulations. He was proud, radiant, and though I tried to mirror his joy, my gaze kept drifting across the room, searching. And then I found him. He was leaning casually near the bar, a glass of red wine in his hand, speaking to no one. His eyes never left me. Every time our gazes collided, my heart stumbled, my breath caught, and a spark of something dangerous lit within me. During the first dance, Daniel twirled me across the floor, his laugh warm against my ear. But behind his shoulder, the stranger's eyes followed me, and suddenly the world felt too small, too crowded, too loud. When the dance ended, I excused myself, claimed I needed air. My heels clicked against marble as I slipped into the garden, stars scattered like diamonds above me. The night air was cool, a relief against my fevered skin. And that's when he appeared. "You shouldn't be out here alone." His voice was low, smooth, carrying the weight of someone who spoke only when necessary. I turned, and he was there, closer now, real, no longer a ghost at the edge of the crowd. His presence filled the space, sharp and magnetic. "Do I know you?" I asked, though part of me already felt the answer. "No," he said. His lips curled faintly. "But you will." It was madness. It was impossible. And yet, as he stepped closer, I felt every carefully constructed wall inside me crack. "You shouldn't look at me like that," I whispered. "And yet," he said, his gaze unflinching, "you can't look away." The garden lights flickered, casting shadows across his face. For a moment, it felt like we were the only two people in the world, like the wedding, the guests, even Daniel had all dissolved into smoke.
He reached for my hand.
Just a brush of his fingers against mine, and it was enough to unravel me. Sparks leapt through my skin. My breath hitched. My heart betrayed me. And in that moment I knew I was lost. The rest of the night blurred like a dream I couldn't wake from. I returned to the reception, my body beside Daniel, but my soul tethered elsewhere. Every laugh felt hollow, every kiss on the cheek meaningless. The stranger did not approach again. He didn't need to. His silence was louder than music, his absence heavier than presence. When the celebration ended, Daniel and I left in a car showered with petals and rice. He held my hand, whispering promises of forever. I nodded, smiled, leaned against his shoulder. But my heart was elsewhere. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. I became Daniel's wife, moved into our home, cooked dinners, attended events. To everyone else, I was radiant, content, the perfect bride turned perfect wife. But inside, I was haunted. I saw him everywhere, in the shadows of passing strangers, in the flicker of candlelight, in the silence of night. His eyes burned into me, seared into my memory like a scar that would never fade. I loved Daniel, or at least I wanted to. I tried to, but every kiss felt borrowed, every touch felt stolen. My heart was no longer mine to give. And then one evening I saw him again. It was at a cafe, months after the wedding. He was sitting at a corner table, sipping coffee as though he had been waiting for me all along. Our eyes met. This time I didn't resist. I walked toward him, my steps trembling, my breath shallow. "You shouldn't be here," I whispered. "And yet I am." "Why?" His smile was tragic, almost tender. "Because you looked at me the way you did. Because you chose me, even if you'll never admit it." Tears burned my eyes. "I'm married." "I know." His hand brushed mine across the table. "That's the tragedy." And then, in a voice so soft I almost missed it, he said, "But tell me the truth. Do you love him the way you looked at me?" The silence that followed was an answer in itself. I left the cafe shaking, my heart torn in two. That night, I lay beside Daniel, his arms around me, his breath steady against my neck. And I wept silently because the truth was unbearable. I had crushed him, not Daniel, not the stranger, but myself. I had crushed the woman I thought I was, the woman who believed love could be simple, safe, unbroken. Instead, I had fallen into a love I could never claim, a fire that would burn me forever from the inside out. The stranger never came again. Perhaps he knew it was impossible. Perhaps fate itself tore us apart. But his absence was a wound that never healed. Years passed. Daniel remained kind, loyal, devoted. He gave me everything. Everything but the one thing I could not give back, my whole heart. On quiet nights, I still dream of the man in the pew. The man whose eyes ruined me. The man I crushed with my silence. And when I wake, I remember. It was on my wedding day, the day meant for forever, that I truly learned what tragedy is. Not the loss of love, but the discovery of the one person you can never have.